The Olmec Religion. The Olmec people of ancient Mexico are a very important people. The Olmec people are often referred to as the mother culture. The Olmec people were an African people that migrated to ancient America around 1200 BC. The Olmec people, when they came to Mexico, they brought with them their religion. The Olmec religion or cult association provides the best example of the Mandi Malinki Bambara cultural influences among the Olmecs. The best source of information on Malinki Bambara religion is G. Ditterling's Essai sur la religion Bambara. Ditterling makes it clear that the Mandi culture was transmitted within the Como, or traditional secret society of the Mande. The two main deities of the Mande were Bimba and Pharaoh. Bimba was the invisible creator of mankind. Pharaoh was the visible god who was recognized as androgynous, male and female. The symbol of Pharaoh was twins. As a result, in traditional Malinki Bambara society, twins represent the twofold nature of Pharaoh. We learn from the Ditterling that the first Bambara Malinki ancestors transformed into birds and hyenas, or felines. This tradition led to the origin of the two major Mandi cult associations, the Kuno, bird, and Nama, feline, yo, or cult association. Among the Olmec people, like the Mandi, the name for the various religious or cult associations was yo. The Nama, a feline initiatory society, was organized to maintain order within society. The members of this yo were to ensure ceremonial unity and defeat sorcery. The leader of the Nama yo wear a mask which combined the totem of Como, horns, and the mask represents immense spiritual power, according to Zahan Dominique in his book, The Bambara. The Como was administered by the sculptor Smith. Their role was to guard society from people committing various cultural offenses. The leader of the Jo, or cult association, was the Como Tigi, or chief of the Como. The Como teaches initiates leadership, self-sufficiency, military prowess, and scientific knowledge. The Como acculturated the Olmec children. Thus, the children in the Como were called Tigi de Niwa, children of the Tigi. The children often served as Tigi Tugwu, carriers of the torches. The Olmec children belonged to the Ntomo or Nyadomo. The Ntomo Association was charged with making the initiates noble. An understanding of the traditional pre-Islamic religion of the Malinki Bambara allows us an intimate understanding of the Olmec religion. The principal Olmec cult associations was the bird and the feline. This religion tradition of the Olmec passed on to the Maya are mentioned in the book of Shumael, which maintains that the three main cult associations that are supposed to have existed in ancient times were 1. The stone cutters cult, 2. The jaguar cult, and 3. The bird cult. In lines 4 through 6 of the book of Shumael, we read that those with their signs in the bird, those with their sign in the stone, flatwork stone, those with their sign in the jaguar, 3 emblems. So the 3 emblems of the Olmec people were the stonecutters cult, the jaguar cult, and the bird cult. The Olmec left testimony to this religious tradition in their art. In fact, the art of the Olmec document in stone the religions or cult associations of the various Mandi Olmec people. We see in a sense from this art that the Olmec had 2 cult associations, the bird mask cult association and the feline mask association, just like the book of Shomoyo. A very interesting monument from among the Olmecs was Monument 13 at Laventa. Monument 13 at Laventa is very important because it records the three emblems of the Olmec people. On Monument 13 at Laventa, a personage is in profile. He has an headdress on his head and wears a breechcloth, jewels, and sandals, along with four glyphs listed one above the other. The glyphs included the stone, the jaguar, and the bird emblem. Monument 13 at Laventa also has a fourth sign to the left of the personage, a foot glyph. This monument has been described as an altar or a low column. The foot in Olmec is called Se. This symbol means to lead or advance toward knowledge or success. The Se, or foot sign of the Komuau cults, represent the beginning of the Olmec initiate's pursuit of knowledge. The meaning of Monument 13, reading from top to bottom, are a circle, Kulukaba, the stone, Nama, the jaguar, and the Kuno, bird. The interpretation of this column, reading from left to right, is the advance toward success, power for the initiate, is obedience to the Stonecutter's cult, Jaguar cult, and Bird cult. The Jaguar Mask Association dominated the Olmec Gulf region. In the central and southern Olmec regions, we find the Bird Mask Association predominates, as typified by the Yak bas relief of Chiapas and the bas relief number 2 of Chalcatzingo. Another bird mask cult association was located in the state of Guerrero, as evidenced by the humano bird figure or stelae from San Miguel Amuco. The religious orders spoken of in the stela are the bird and jaguar cults. These Olmec cults were Nama, or the humano jaguar cult, and Kuno, or bird cult. The leader of the cult, Nama cult, was called the Namatigi, or Amatigi, head of the faith. The leader of the Kuno cult was called the Kuno Tigi, or Kuno chief. These cult leaders initiated the Olmecs in the mysteries of the cult. Among the Olmec, there is often representation of the flame. Among the Olmecs, its flame signified the luminous character of knowledge. The Kuno Olmec priest wears a conical hat. The evidence of the conical hat on the Kuno priest is important, evidence of the Mandi in ancient America. The conical hat in Mesoamerica is associated with Amerindian priesthood and as a symbol of political and religious authority, according to Leo Viner. Leo Viner wrote that the kingly and priestly cap of the Magi should have been preserved in America in the identical form with the identical decoration, and should besides have kept the name current for it among the Mandingo, Malinki Bambara people, makes it impossible to admit any other solution than the one that the Mandingos established royal offices in Mexico. Yes, according to Leo Viner, the earliest people, the religious leaders and political leaders among the Mexicans were probably Mandingos. A very important aspect of the Olmec Cult Association was the acculturation of children. The acculturation of children was an important duty of the Olmec priesthood. As a result, we find many examples of children being provided knowledge by the priests. The Olmec child is very evident in Olmec art. To the Olmec, childhood represents the primitive state of mankind when man was pure and ignorant of nature. Thus, the child in Olmec art represents the human being when he left his Creator's hands, uncircumcised and androgynous. Adults respected children very much among the Olmec. This view is supported by the motifs on altar number 5 of Laventa. On this monument, we see a personage emerging from the stone altar with the glyph Poggabe, which means pure righteousness, on his headdress. He is carrying a babe in his arms, resting on his lap. On the other side of the monument, we see two personages. These personages, in a sense, each have a different style helmet. These scenes suggest that the Olmec child was to learn wisdom. And once the child learned wisdom, we see in this illustration that he becomes animated and he can even have a conversation with the priest. So we recognize, in a sense, that it was very important among the Olmec people to make sure that children were indoctrinated in the culture of the Olmec so they could carry on their traditions. We also see a very interesting Olmec statuette. And many of these Olmec statuettes, again, have Olmec personages holding children in their hands, and as though they're presenting them. And I think that this presentation of children represents the fact that among the Olmec, the child was supposed to be introduced to culture, introduced into civilization, and most importantly, taught about faith in God. On the right hand side, we see a priest and a child again. This time, the priest has a snake on his helmet. Instead of carrying the child on his lap, in this scene, the child is carried on the personage's side and wearing a jaguar mask. This indicates that once the child completed the initiation, he was recognized as an individual to be respected, capable of giving advice to adults. These examples from Olmec iconography makes it clear that the Olmec religion is exactly the same as the pre-Islamic religion of the Maliki Bambara. We now know, in a sense, given this information, that the Olmec had a very important religious tradition, and this religious tradition served as a way to ensure that all members of the Olmec society were instructed in the cultural mores, the cultural traditions, history, architecture, law, science, and writing native to the ancient Olmec people.